Welcome back to the Link Up. I'm your host, Kim Smith Jenkins, and I'm so glad to be back with you guys as we've taken a little break as the world has been absolutely crazy these days. A lot of devastating events we've faced these past few weeks in our society, from George Floyd, the passing of and the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, to protests seen around the world, and really the outcry for social justice, for equality. And here at Link Media, we are all about focusing on diversity, having diverse perspectives, making a space for women to feel included, making a platform for women to be able to speak out and to become leaders and to help change society, whether that's in business, entrepreneurship, and also giving back to the next generation. So with Link Media, we're hoping to really push forward as we're seeing the shift in the culture and society, and really embracing all women of all ethnicities, backgrounds, and beliefs. And so we really just want to include you in our space. And we're so glad that you're here with us for the Link Up. This is a show where we're able to tap in and speak to amazing women who have started businesses, who are climbing their career ladders in corporate America. And today I'm so happy to bring on a special guest. She's near and dear to my heart because we go way back to freshman year at the University of Georgia. And I have seen this woman grow tremendously as she has this love for planning amazing events for others around the Southeast and everywhere. And it's just been amazing just to really to watch her journey as she's built out her company with Simply Charming Socials. And today we're going to welcome in Kristine Cooke of Simply Charming Socials. And Kristine is incredible. When I tell you, she has been amazing building out her company. She's spent 10 years in the wedding industry. She's been featured in Reader's Digest, USA Today, The Knot. And then also she's creating great resources for you lovebirds out there, those that are getting married soon, those that are thinking about popping the question. So it's great to just really see all that she has. So I'm going to let her spill the tea on all the things that she's bringing with her company. And Kristine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me so much. Wow, you made me blush with that intro. So thank you. Thank you.
No, I mean, I just remember us meeting back at Georgia and Rumby Hall, and just meeting you at that moment. I knew that you were just a genuine soul. You were just an amazing person. And although life takes you all over the place, we've still remained in touch. And that's something that I find special, especially as we're continuing to build out Link, these connections that are authentic, that are real, and just women just cheering each other on, wanting to see each other succeed in business and in life. And we were able to do that afar, just even through social media and rooting each other on, but just even coming back in contact with each other as we've been seeing our careers unfold before each other. And so I know as we planned out talking for this show, we were hoping to just focus on how brides are navigating COVID-19 and all the stress that comes with it. And we're going to talk about that today, but we're also navigating some very important topics, some conversations that are so important to society right now, as we're seeing companies really be forced into having these conversations. And as you are seeing things in the wedding industry, I find that interesting to see how different industries are responding to the social unrest right now. How are you seeing the wedding industry respond to it? And what was your initial feeling once you saw what happened in Minneapolis and then seeing the riots and the protests and the outcry from people?
Absolutely. Well, yes, it's been a very emotional time, I think, for everyone in so many different ways. And prior to all of the social justice and everything that's happened in the past couple weeks, of course, the world was dealing with the pandemic and already feeling a lot of unrest there and just really out of sorts and uncomfortable. So, and now we're really hit and faced with an issue that's always been an issue, but we're actually being forced to recognize that and address it. And so it's really unfortunate and heartbreaking that it's taking such tragedies to bring it to light and for a lot of the a lot of the outcry and really for people to step up and talk about this. But I agree with you; it's a very important conversation. And to kind of touch on, as you and I have stayed in touch over the years and been able to pick up where we've left off, we've seen each other grow, and I think you and I both really believe in women empowerment, but it's also about just empowerment in general. And as we've both become mothers, I think things that are happening around us in the world have really touched us, at least for myself, just much heavier. And it's something that I really want to not only look within and figure out how I'm going to process or handle something, but now I have a little one who how she's going to view the world and what she's going to think and how I raise her. So there's a level of responsibility for myself to not only educate myself, then as a businesswoman and as an owner of a business to be inclusive as a business and continue to grow in that sense, and always make sure I hold myself to the highest standards there. But then as a mom, which to me feels most important because that's our future, to really raise my daughter and in every way possible to be the kindest, best person that she can be. And so, yeah, it's been extremely emotional. I believe that in general, everyone has reacted differently. As with anything, we all have different reactions, different gut reactions. Some people speak up, some people protest. And I have great friends that are protesting out there in the city of Atlanta every day, and I have others who are quietly donating or reflecting. And then I do believe fortunately and unfortunately, things like this show people's colors too. So, their true colors and what they really believe. So that's been very eye-opening. But the bottom line for me is, again, it's a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of really processing what's going on. It's been heartbreaking to see all these events happening. And in my everyday life, not just in my own bubble here, like we all live in our own bubble, but being in an industry that celebrates love and people and inclusion anyway. And we strive to do that, whether it's gender, whether it's who you love, or your culture, or your tradition, or anything. We really have been so lucky and blessed to have such a variety and such a diverse group of clients and people to connect with and individuals and creatives to work with. And it's really opened up and meaning that when you think that people are that way and you hope that they're that way, that they're not. And so, with the wedding industry in general, I'm very proud to know so many people who are so inclusive. Of course, we can all do better. And what my hope is and what I'm striving to do is, again, do better and be more inclusive and diverse. And also too, I think just show that we are. I feel like it's about actions now and not just about the words. It's about actions. So it's, really representing the variety that we actually truly serve. We're representing that in our work, in the media and in the wedding media, just like any media, things have been very, very clearly BIPOC, has been very unrepresented. People of color have been so underrepresented. So really trying to make sure that there's a movement for our industry and the events industry to envelop and just really truly come out there and say, this is who we represent. It's everyone. This is who we're celebrating. It's everybody. This is the definition of love and celebration. And put that out there, put those photos out there, put those stories out there.
Yeah, as you mentioned, action. It's all about action right now and seeing how
Yeah.
companies are responding. And I'm sure you're getting an inbox that's flooded with responses and corporate statements and things that are coming out from different wedding vendors, bridal gown companies, and so forth. But I think, as you mentioned, about with it not being just about the words, because it's easy to put a social media post out there, it's easy to send out a statement, but it's about the action and inclusivity, that you're intentional about it. Because I think that what we see in the wedding industry so much is that, especially the numbers, right? If we know, like with Black women, especially, we know that Black women have this high percentage of Black women who are not married. And so creating that picture of like, Black people aren't married, or they don't have a two-parent household, and we don't see a lot of that represented in our media. And I think it's beautiful to really see the imagery to really bring forth and tear down those stereotypes and really show that love knows no color, and that love is beautiful no matter what race you are. And I think that we can't say we don't want to look at color, because I think it's important to say, I see the beauty in your blackness. I see the beauty in your, this person that's of an Asian descent, or, Hispanic culture. I think it's so beautiful to recognize those things, because you are recognizing the story that's behind it, and the tradition and the heritage and the love that comes from that family. And I think to ignore it is a bad thing to do, because then you're kind of devaluing the ethnicity of that person. And I think that within the wedding industry, it's just going to be beautiful to really see this inclusivity, because of the fact that I love that part about weddings where you get to really share in someone else's culture. I think that's like the coolest part when I get invitations from so many, like we have friends that are from Africa. I've been to a Pakistani wedding. I've been to Nigerian. I've been to East African. It's just like all of the different traditions and cultures and their family and the garbs and everything. Like you get to really take part in something that you don't get to experience in your everyday world. And so I think that if the wedding industry really embraces that, it's just going to show the reflection of what the world truly is. I think.
I completely agree with you. And I think that's one thing that I've been so appreciative over the years in growing in this industry. I mean, I recall the very first time I did a Hindu wedding. And I recall those clients, not just because it was, a huge event, because it was, and because it was, a wedding that was published and it was a milestone for my career, but because the clients that I had and their families took the time to educate me. I was very upfront honest with them, saying, I don't know enough about the culture, and I don't know enough about the religion, but I'm here and I'm here to help you celebrate, and I'm willing to learn. So I'm a sponge. Let me learn, teach me. And I also very clearly had stated and was very aware that just because it was one Hindu wedding, for example, that didn't mean that the next one was going to be the same. And frankly, it wasn't. And so I've just been I feel very honored to be, again, in a career path and an industry that celebrates love. It celebrates stories, celebrates who people truly are, what's important to them, their legacy and their traditions and their cultures, whether it's just like you said, through attire, through food, through prayer. And the same thing goes for, interracial marriages, and the same thing goes for same-sex marriages, and the same thing goes for just really untraditional families. I've seen so many types of families, and that to me is such a beautiful thing. And I feel truly honored to have, to walk that path with our clients. And, because we don't only do weddings and we do social events, just to see how anniversaries are celebrated and how birthdays are celebrated and first birthdays in different cultures, and really be able to be part of those. It's just incredible. And I think that education through just being immersed in it has been such a fantastic tool for me. I really believe that's such a way to learn. And that's why I think, I really hope that people will open their eyes and their ears and their hearts, and this will force them to, just like the pandemic forced us to stay home and be more intentional about what we were doing. And, there's a lot of things. There's a reason things happen. I believe that. So I'm hoping that not just the social change and the justice that, of course, 100% needs to come, because that's a given, but that people really reflect on this and say, how am I bettering myself? How am I going to learn? And how am I going to open myself up to be just a better human being, a better human, a better member of society?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. Being a sponge, absorbing, listening, learning from others, so important. And thinking about how you even mentioned like your first time planning a Hindu wedding. Think back to the very beginning when you even decided to become a wedding planner. What put you on that track, and what do you love most about being a planner?
Sure. Well, I was, as you know, back in the day, so I was studying fashion merchandising. That's what I graduated with from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
And, I moved to New York shortly thereafter graduation and started my career in the fashion industry. And while I was always passionate and excited about events, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur as well. And so finding myself 4 years in the city, in debt, living by myself, figuring out, struggling to make my way up the ladder in fashion, which takes forever and is very difficult. I was babysitting on the side. I made a connection with a couple that through just some side work that needed help with their wedding. So I had the opportunity to plan the rest of their wedding by chance. Again, it was a very untraditional way of getting my feet wet in this industry. It's a very untraditional family and situation, and it was an incredible wedding. And for the first time that I had ever done an event that for me just felt so personal and special, I also realized that it was something that was going to be remembered with fashion, and so many of our industries were on to the next, on to the next. We're always looking 3 steps ahead in the future, and with weddings and personal events in general, it's really something we savor. So we're able to look back and reflect on. These are memories that we're really giving somebody that they treasure. They're not only just the gathering of itself, but the photos, the stories that come from these celebrations. So I fell absolutely in love. It wasn't something that I always wanted to do. I didn't always want to be a wedding planner like so many people have that aspiration. It sounds very magical, right? But I knew it was going to take a lot of hard work. So I moved back down to Atlanta. I started my business. I met people. I hustled. I assisted. I did everything I could to really, again, immerse myself in the industry, learn as much as I could. And very quickly, I realized that I was able to use my strength of not only creativity, but also organization, really balance those two. So I've been able to, it's been a decade now, which is crazy to say. This month is about 10 years since my first wedding, which is just, again, an incredible feeling, and it's hard to process that too. But it's been a lot of really being able to figure out where my niche is in the market, what the couples are that I like to work with, who the clients are that I like to work with. And that in of itself is just a wide variety of group of people. I don't work at the same venues over and over too often. I don't work with the same type of couples or the same design aesthetic. And that has kept my job so exciting and just so fulfilling. So it's been really fantastic. And of course, when you're planning with somebody such an emotional experience, there's a lot that goes into that. And I know when you planned your wedding and I planned my own wedding, being a bride, that's a whole chapter.
Oh my gosh.
But planning baby showers and planning all these other things, it's just been incredible to be part of these events with people.
Yeah, being a part of this milestone, something that people will remember for the rest of their lives, the stories that they'll share with their kids and their grandchildren, and the pictures that will be there forever. So important that the work that you do as you're a part of this important moment. But as you think about how people are gathering and processing their thoughts around COVID-19, that's shaken up everyone's world, and you have to prioritize health. And as people are trying to think about, okay, what do I just reschedule? Do we just wait until next year until we understand what the landscape will look like at that time? Do we just elope? All these questions that are coming up as you're already just so excited and just want to go ahead and get hitched. How are your clients just really like processing it all? And then could you share some of the tips with us that you are sharing with your clients about what to do next when you can't get married and there are no gatherings more than 50?
I know. Yes, it's unnerving, right? We were all hit with this. It came out of nowhere, it felt like, and it really rocked so many parts of our lives, but our industry in particular, that is focused on gatherings in a time when you're not supposed to gather. It's not safe to be together. And so it's been a roller coaster for sure. It is something that we've tackled as we know information, and unfortunately it's been very inconsistent, and every part of the country is dealing with something, all the same thing, but also very differently. So being in Georgia and being located here, our state was one of the ones that opened first, and that has been interesting to see how things have unfolded. There are a lot of events that are starting to happen now really, again, there's not a lot of consistency and a lot of information to go off of. So we're doing our best to go off of what we know. We don't know what we don't know, right? So so first off, our spring weddings that were directly affected, the majority of those postponed and rescheduled for the fall or into next year. And our summer weddings and summer events, some of those have done the same. Our first weddings back as of right now today are in August, and those are rescheduled events. And we have a very, very busy fall season now with all the reschedules. So, really excited to celebrate with our couples. But the bottom line, I think, and the conversations that I have daily, weekly with our couples are, number one, safety's first. So we really need to figure out what measures need to be taken, and the entirety of your creative team and your wedding team and your events team needs to be on the same page with that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just making sure to prioritize what's really important to you. And I really am trying to see the beauty, and I think I've hopefully been able to keep a positive light for our clients to say, this is a time that financially, emotionally, logistically, we're refocusing back onto the things that matter most. And in fact, I think that's the blessing of it all, is that we're able to say, okay, if we only had to have 50 people and we needed to keep it intimate, let's embrace the intimacy of that. Let's embrace the fact that, maybe we don't need all the details and the koozies and this and that. Maybe we really just truly want to invest in things that are important to us. Maybe we want to rethink the way that we're having a meal and make it more communal and sit down together and just more conversational. And so it's been really great to have those conversations in a way, because I think everyone's really going back to the core of what these celebrations are about. And for our weddings, it's about the marriage in general. And so much in our industry, there's a lot of vanity, just like there is in a lot of industries, where yes, we all want a Pinterest wedding. We all want a magazine. All of us. We want to see a wedding that we find to be beautiful in whatever way that means for us. But it's really not about that. And so it's been great to take everything and take those plans and, again, put the intention behind it. So I really encourage everyone to do that. Think about what's important to you. Think about what's the most safe, because that was first and foremost. What's most safe for you and for your guests? Consider that, especially if you have people traveling, especially if you're in a state that hasn't quite opened up yet or you don't have plans to. And ask questions. Communication is so important. It's so, so important. Talk to your vendors. Talk to your team. They may not have the perfect answer for you, but it is so much better to make, I think, an informed and educated decision, because then you feel good about it. It is already a very emotional time. It's already, unfortunately, not going to look as we planned. We know this now. That is the truth now. It will not look the way that it's supposed to, whether it's because it's exactly as planned but not on the same day, it's a year later, or whether it's because it's half the size or some of the details have changed. So embracing that it won't be the same, being positive that it could be better, speaking and communicating with your team. If you have a planner, lean on them, ask them for help, ask them for more help. We've had several clients that have asked us, come back to us, that we were working together on a little bit smaller of a basis, that have said, we need help now. And that's what we're here for. And so, lean on the people that can really help you. And then, beyond that, I would just say prioritize. Really prioritize the things that are important in your life. And part of the emotional conversation, I think, that I've had with so many of our clients, if not all of them, is that people plan this milestone around careers, around moves, around so many other life things. People want to start a family. They are, they have an age in their head. They have something they envision. And you recognize that it's not just one day. It's a year leading up, and it's 6 months before that when you were thinking you were going to get engaged any second. And it's, there's a lot of other things, plus the time thereafter. So this is something that's not just one day for people. And I really want everyone to hear that, and recognize that. And that's where a lot of the emotion's coming from. So with that being said, if it makes sense to have a ceremony this year in whatever way that looks, and a reception and celebrate next year when you can with all 200 of your family and friends, then maybe that's the way to go. But talking through your options, really talking to each other, your partner, your fiance, about what's important in your families. And I think that'll give some clarity.
All great advice from you, Kristine. I think one of the biggest pieces that I've gathered, even from some of my girlfriends that are currently engaged, mental health. It's so important to take time to pull back, because it's already stressful, as you mentioned. We both, getting to that point of marriage, and you're so excited and you want to plan everything out. You have your Pinterest board, you have all these expectations in your head, and now you're hit with a pandemic. And so just making sure that that self-care and that time to just really pull away and just focus, like you mentioned, focus on what it's all about, and that the love between you and your fiance is so important. And so I think mental health is something that we can all like agree on right now. It's so important across the
Absolutely.
board. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as somebody, myself who deals with anxiety as well, this is a time where everyone is just hyper anxious, hyper aware of what's going on, has a lot of emotions and feelings. My best tip, self-care, you said it, doing the things that make you feel good, whether it's reading, whether it's binge watching, whether it's a reasonable amount of wine every night, whatever that is that makes you feel good. But also lean on your loved ones, lean on those who are there for you, the ones that are going to celebrate you, whatever that means, your partner in life that you're going to get married to. If it's a birthday celebration that we or anyone was helping you with, or you had planned that can't go off as planned, celebrate that person and in a different way. I also find too, as wedding dates are coming and going and a lot of changes have been made, embrace that that was your original date. Have a date night in. Those date nights at home, man, those are important.
Yeah.
So again, it's back to being intentional, back to the priority. And those are the times that we're going to look back on this time in history, and we don't know even now how much it's going to impact us in the future, right? With everything that's going on socially, health-wise, all the different crises that we have in our world right now, but making the best of it in any way we can, whether it's bettering ourselves, whether it's celebrating our love, whether it's saving money, whether, whatever that means. And I think that really helps. And I also say, just give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and be patient. Give yourself that grace.
Yeah.
Be patient. We all, I say it to myself too, we all need that. We all really need that, because we would all love for this to all go away and be peaceful and better, but there's actually things that need to change. And so we're gonna figure it out. But yeah, that self-care is so important.
So important. So my favorite part of the show. And I would
say too, encourage your loved one too. I think the guys are sometimes forgotten and they're not as big on the self-care, but if you see your love that needs, if he or she needs a little bit of help, especially for the guys too, if they need a minute, go take a minute, go read a book, make them have that break too, because then they are sane and they can keep us sane. Yeah. So, we all deal with things differently, but encourage your loved ones too to do the same thing.
Awesome. Well, my favorite part of the show, Kristine, rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question. First thing that comes to mind, spit it out. Just go ahead and tell me. So we'll throw a softball. Favorite color?
Pink.
Favorite wedding movie?
Wedding movie. Oh my gosh.
3, 2,
Oh, it's
1.
so hard. I guess The Wedding Planner.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Number one thing you have to have in your wedding planner toolkit?
Oh, sewing needle and thread.
Awesome.
Got to sew up those groomsmen pants when they split.
Favorite reception item, like food item?
Food? Oh my gosh, all the flavorful foods, but tapas style, family style, spicy, lots of flavor, love it. Anything that you can share, not in time of COVID, but anything you can share with lots of flavor, so good.
What was your favorite first dance song? Or maybe your first dance song?
Yeah, my first dance song was 500 Miles. It was a cover, so that's my favorite. But I actually also love when people do the throwback Frank Sinatra, Louis Armstrong, like Ella. Yeah. Love a good throwback song, the classics.
Awesome. And then your favorite location that you've planned a wedding, one of your favorites. I know you probably have many.
So Atlanta History Center is a favorite of mine. I absolutely love that venue. It's iconic here. But I also really love those teeny tiny little mountain getaway elopements that we've done.
Oh, awesome.
Super special.
A lot of elopements lately too, I've been hearing about. Well,
a lot of elopements and and we've always done more intimate celebrations and weddings for a variety of reasons. People opt to do that. So a lot of elopements, because that seems to be what you can do now, and there's different ways to do it. Tiny weddings are a trend, and so there's lots of them.
It's all about getting the chance to say yes. That's all that matters.
Just get it. And then have a big party later.
Speaking of a big party, Kristine, I know you heard about this, but Elaine Wiltrock, I love her. She's an amazing author, as well as she was the first Black editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue. And also, she was a judge on Project Runway. She's amazing. And she basically had this bomb wedding on her Brooklyn stoop, and she had a social distancing party. And then she later had a virtual block party. So they shut down the block that she lives on, and she just let everyone kind of spread out. They had the DJ going. She had this beautiful gown. You can see her beautiful braids. I love that she did this. I think it just speaks to exactly who she is. She is an amazing woman. She's actually from where I live in the area, like the Bay Area, and she just really empowers women and also really speaks to Black women specifically. Her book is amazing. It's called More Than Enough. You should definitely read it. It's a New York Times bestseller.
It is actually on my list. It is on my list to read. So yes, I will bump it up. It's on my Kindle list. And I've seen the photos, absolutely iconic as a New Yorker myself, to see that block party and to be from the Bronx originally, and to see, I know she was in Brooklyn, and to see just the brownstone steps, and just that image in and of itself is so iconic and hits so home, so deep inside my heart as a city girl. Just, I loved it. And it was so them, and that's what it comes down to. Pre-COVID, pre-social unrest, pre all these things. What is it that represents you? What is it that you're going to remember, your friends are going to remember, your family, and how do you best celebrate your love? And that to me was it was iconic. I mean, truly.
I mean, it's in Vogue magazine now, so it's definitely
incredible. And those are the things I tear out. Those are the things that I keep to say, that's why I do what I do, because someone was able to tell their story in a way that was so reflective of who they are without all the noise, because they couldn't, but also because they didn't have to or didn't need to. And so take all the noise away, and we all love those beautiful Pinterest-worthy weddings, and I do too, but take all that away, and what is it really about? And that's what made it so special to me.
Yeah, Elaine Weltroth, our Woman of the Week. And we have Kristine Cooke, our amazing Woman of the Week, as well on our show. We so appreciate you for taking some time out. Tell us about what's coming up next for Simply Charming Socials before you go.
Yes. Well, we're bracing for a very busy fall season. We have really developed Charm School, which is our educational side of our business, where we have and share lots of information for brides specifically. But the goal with that is to, in the near future, reach newlyweds and hostesses, and really build that entertaining side so that people can get the tips and advice that they need to help celebrate all of life's celebrations. So I am going to be unrolling that, and my team and I, in the next year or so. So looking forward to sharing all of that information and content, and really focusing on, the beautiful intentional ways to celebrate, but also the etiquette side and the history of things. So that's really exciting. And we're very, very, very excited to celebrate with our clients coming up soon. I hope we don't have too many more roadblocks, and I'm trying to stay positive on that. So let's all keep our fingers crossed for all of our couples and clients everywhere worldwide that want to just do it already and celebrate and get married. But we're very excited for that, and looking into 2021, even 22 now. So the future is bright. And in the meantime, I'm here with my little and my love, and we're just hunkering down, and as they say in the South, and social distancing, and really enjoying the beginnings of summer with the 3-year-old too. So
well, I enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much. You're a phenomenal woman, and I'm so excited to see all that's coming up for you with Simply Charming Social. So thanks for joining us. And you guys, thank you for tuning in to the Link Up. Make sure to follow us at Link Media on all social platforms. We can't wait to continue to share our journey with you as we continue to grow our tribe and our company. We'll see you next time on the Link Up.